good during the holiday season, but it was a bulge on one side, and you could kind of feel